Hello there, welcome back to the life of Genghis Khan Abridged. Last time our allies betrayed us, but we immediately took them down and vassalized them. Then it was time for some long-term expeditions. We sent troops to the other side of the map to attack China, taking down some of our lost Mongol tribe brothers, and then attacking China proper. We've just taken one of their big cities, but really this war is just getting started. The army we have going up against the Sha, the Chinese faction in the west, is being attacked by the looks of things. I think what happened here is a settlement surrendered to us because there was no battle, not that I noticed, and then there's a battle outside the settlement, so they're trying to retake something they just surrendered. Long story short, we've got a Sha town, and I think I just genocided them and moved on with that one. The main focus for me right now is to move down the right side of the map, where we've got the Jin Chinese, who are the big, powerful Chinese faction, and it's our story objective to bring them down, so I'm focusing on that, although I don't have many men actually ready to do that right now. Most of my troops are with Genghis, who has finally arrived on the front lines, and we're going to use them to quickly steamroll the Jadoran Mongols to the east there, our old enemy who needs to finally be dealt with. I've also now got a cheeky army that I recruited from a captured Sha settlement, Ganzhou there, which is now ready to march into Sha lands from another direction. That should end up being annoying for the enemy at the very least. The army itself is pretty trash. What I need to do is recruit units here at Yanjing because it's a high level settlement. We can make like actual units there and not just be spamming trash, so we're not so far away from the dream of actually being able to match the quality of the Jin Chinese. As for the Tartars, with whom we're also at war, their quality is very low. They're spamming trash, so we can spam our own trash at them, and that'll be fine. Here was me doing a bit of diplomacy that proved very pointless. I found this faction in the top left of the map, some red faction who's way too far away for us to interact with, and I paid them loads of money to recognize me as the Emperor, but this actually doesn't do anything in this DLC. Recognizing as Emperor is kind of like the lesser version of vassalship, because they refuse to be my vassal, of course. But because you can't win via a recognition as Emperor victory, the Son of Heaven victory it's called, that does absolutely nothing. So that was some footage of me wasting money, basically. Now let's move on. It's time for several battles actually all taking place this turn. We've got a stack of horse archers going up against a bunch of tribal levies from the Tartars over there. There are a few minor pointless battles going on, as there usually are, but here's the big one. Genghis and his hordes heading to attack this unwalled settlement that is full of troops. So we're going to be hoping to win on sheer grinding potential. But there's a little bit of a difference this time. We actually have some siege weapons in this army, so they can catapult in and potentially do something. Mainly, the catapults are for taking down walls. In this case, they appear to be just firing at the defenders and missing, so that's something. Maybe we'll eventually get a kill. We're also making a much more dangerous attack against this Chinese city down near Yanjing. Hopefully our men will try and attack the enemy. They're mostly just chilling there, but eventually we might be able to force our way in there on numbers as usual. My scouts nearby have been found by the enemy, unfortunately, so they're going down. Same thing here really with the Duan attack. We just have to wait and hope our men kill the enemy. They might after a while. You can't influence battles in any way, so really watching them is just for entertainment purposes. You really should just skip them for maximum efficiency. And the eventual result is that we run out of time, so we are unable to kill our way in, but we have killed most of the guys inside. Those guys who just said I was the Emperor want to be my friend, so fine. Don't really want to go to war with them, whoever they are, so we'll just take that. As for that Tartar engagement, well, it never happened, you might have noticed, because they surrendered by the looks of things. That's great, since there was a full stack defending the place that just surrendered, meaning we've made some good progress in the war right there. And in fact, I was then able to negotiate vassalship with the Tartars, so that's perfect now. We don't have to bother with the rest of their settlements, of which they actually have quite a few here and there across the map. Had to give them one of my towns there, but I don't need that place as a base anymore. We'll have new bases soon enough. Although, even though I'm making them my vassal, I am still going to be quite mean and absolutely slaughter all of the people in the settlement we just took because of the authority cap. I would let them live, but authority, man, that's just how it is in this game. So those guys can now come down and help out with the attack on China. In fact, I'm so enthusiastic, I actually stopped attacking Duan there to go and attack China with the other units for a second. I did realize eventually, but Not very intelligent, I think you'll agree. It always amazes me watching back the footage, how many mistakes I'm making and how little attention I'm paying to even major things, yet things are still going quite well. I think there's some merit to the OfficiallyDevin strategy of just going all in without paying too much attention, because it just takes the AI by surprise. Like right there, my sneaky trash stack walking into their territory from the west is about to capture an unguarded settlement, so things are going well over there. And as for that attack on the Chinese city, looks like we did take it. This was a difficult decision because we can make tons of money by sacking it, but I don't want to have to keep the people alive and have them take down my authority as well. So we're going to have to kill them. We can keep Yanjing nearby as our main base for this attack vector anyway. So we're probably going to either kill everyone around here or try and get them to be my vassal. That's just the way it is with the Mongols right now. And again, it's all authority man, so you can't possibly blame me for the war crimes. Here's a look at the new selection of units we can recruit now that we have Yanjing. We've suddenly jumped to the late game. Basically, when it comes to units, we can recruit the nice Golden Khan's Guard, which are probably our best units, and loads of heavier versions of things we had previously, heavy and trained horse archers, and some half-decent infantry as well. So over time, we can gradually spam out a good army here, and well, multiple good armies in fact, and use them to continue our conquest of China. Now we are continuing with Duan. A second attempt at the settlement is made. My catapult is firing wildly into the melee, and I was wondering here whether it actually inflicts friendly fire damage. I think it actually does, but also the catapult sucks, so while the shots are landing in amongst the fighting, it doesn't really do anything to either side, so I guess that's okay. My army moving west, trying to find a way into the Shisha's main territory, encounters an enemy army, and this army is actually quite good. It's 4 units of the Chinese version of Khan's Guard. I can't remember what they're called, but they're late game cataphracti heavy cavalry, and they just don't really die in this early phase of the fight. We're shooting arrows at them, but it doesn't do anything. Our side does have technically some heavy spearmen. I think the heavy spears for the Mongols look exactly the same as the tribal levies, so it looks like we're rushing these heavy cav with trash, but our stats are actually somewhat high. Meaning that after the two sides stop shooting at each other and grind for a bit, we don't actually die. The two sides kind of grind each other down and then break off the fight when the time limit runs out, so no decisive result. The Shisha want peace with us right now. I rejected that peace because they wouldn't be my vassal, but I am actually going to go back to that in a second. First, we genocide some of their people using our cheeky trash stack coming down from the west. I wanted to bypass that defended settlement to get to the undefended one here, but I have to go past the defended one, which is annoying. And also at this stage, I came to realise we really don't need to be at war with the Shisha, and I actually negotiated for a pretty blanket peace, almost a white peace in fact, where we didn't really get anything out of this, just so that we can ignore them. What I want to do is move the units here on to attack the Jin instead, who are much more powerful. I think we need to concentrate them, or concentrate against them a bit more. So that's the plan from now on. We're also done fighting the Jajoran Mongols, which is going to help out. So we blow up their settlement, that was their last one, and all the armies here, we've got like 5 stacks, will now start making their way south through the mountains to also attack Jin China. Going to really pile the pressure on as much as possible. In the next turn, we get the confirmation message that the Jajoran Mongols are gone, so that's one less opponent. We're actually quite focused down now. We're at war really with just the Jin Chinese. There's also this other faction, that's the one that controls the Silk Road settlement we need to get for the random mission. We'll be fighting them eventually once we get some men over there. For now, we're going to focus on 2 or 3 assaults against Jin China. A few units are going west from Yanjing into the mountains. A couple more stacks will be going south across the open plains, which are partially controlled by the Tartars, which is fine, and over that river towards Kaifeng. There's more Chinese territory down there for us to take out. The main attack group, though, will be all the stacks that are now gathered around Genghis. We're going to take on Da Tong, and you can see we've already moved into position. This is just south of where that Duan place was. We've moved up and destroyed all the farms in the process, and now it's time to start microing all these different armies to attack the town from different directions at once, basically. And once everything's done, we get going with it. Now, one of the things I was trying to do was get the catapults to be leading the attack so we can break open some walls, but actually it turns out these catapults aren't the type that breaks open walls. I think these ones I have here are the worst kind of catapult you can get, and they're only really good against wooden walls. I do have the ability to recruit better catapults, I just didn't back whenever I actually got this army together, which was a very long time ago. So, we're not able to make breaches. We can still do the usual though. We can break open the gates and set the towers on fire, so we can attack with 4 units at least. And since we have like 5 armies, we can just sit here and gradually grind our way through. So the grind there goes into the next turn, but here in the next turn, everything's just gone to hell. Some sort of weird interdimensional rift has opened and our guys have all turned into squares. This glitch actually happened quite a lot in the late end of the campaign, not sure what causes it, but sometimes the battles all just freeze. And then if you wait for a long time, they eventually just suddenly resolve. So you can get out of this by just sitting around, and here we are afterwards. Our men are still standing here, so we didn't get the city. I think some fighting does happen in that square form, because some troops were lost, but whatever, doesn't matter too much here. And we're now also ready to attack Kaifeng, by the way. Our men have crossed the river and are going for it. We took out a small Chinese army just west of Nanjing with that 3rd group that's going to go into the mountains that I mentioned. And at Kaifeng we just take the place instantly because there was like 1 unit defending it, so of course we get it on the old technicality once we've opened up a couple of gates. And while I was watching that, we also took Datong, and that was just because so many units inside were destroyed. But look at this, we've actually reached the southern end of the map. We've gone all the way across, and here discovered another Chinese faction, the Song Chinese. I don't quite know the history, but it's something along the lines of that the Chinese Empire has a northern and southern government which are separate, and that's the Jin and Song dynasties at this point. So the Song are a different faction, but they're kind of the same as the Jin, and they also hate us. I sacked Kaifeng to keep it for use as a base, since it's on the front lines there and is quite developed. Datong is going to be destroyed since we don't need it, and then the main blob will move south to link up with that 3rd blob going through the mountains, so we'll focus down onto just 2 fronts once that's all done. The Jin sent a few good units across the river north of Kaifeng and attack us. I'm guessing that crossing the river gives them some kind of penalty in the attack, not really sure. It says we have a giant advantage here in terms of numbers, but it's because the men inside the city are considered to take part in the fight. But as you might have noticed, if you fight outside a city, troops inside actually can't participate, but they are considered to be part of the battle. So our advantage is smaller than it looks, but it's enough. We have some good troops there and we have numbers, so we stop the enemy attack. The men in the city actually went south to go and check out the next Jin place. But over there are 2 Song Chinese armies standing around, which is kind of threatening. And looking at their units, they're actually good. They've got lots of special things, got some repeating crossbows, 2-handed swords, and a few of the gold tier special units as well. So against our 2 stacks, which are now depleted in the area, it seems like the Song have the advantage. We're not at war with them, so we don't technically have to worry about it, but I'm still worrying about it. At Taiyuan, where I'm trying to gather everything else, we're just standing around and not besieging the city, just destroying farms and sitting there waiting to see what happens. The stack I sent south goes right into that Jin Chinese city because it's surrendered, so we'll take that right away. Looks like our allies are having some trouble with random marauding Jin units up there. We'll see those guys later actually. Those marauders did cause some trouble for us in the end. Got a peace offer here from the faction that controls the Silk Road. And normally I'd be like, yes, I don't care about fighting you, you're on the other side of the map, but we're going to have to stay at war with them just for the sake of that story objective. So we destroy the town we just took from the Jin, and with that we kind of have to start thinking about attacking the Song. I mean, they're here now, they're the next people we need to kill to get more victory points for ourselves. The issue will be that they're strong. I wanted initially to just kind of walk past these armies because I thought maybe there's a Jin settlement just off to the west we could go take instead. So we're awkwardly sandwiched between the 2 Song armies. What I wanted to do was run between them and go off to the west, so we'll give the order right here. The problem is, it doesn't happen like that. The armies do attack us and we get stuck in a not very good battle actually, because now our 1 stack's being attacked by 1.5 from 2 sides, and as we said, this army is quite good, the Song armies are. Well, my army is quite good as well actually. We do have decent units here, lots of heavy cavalry, the noble heavy cav, who are better than the noble horse archers who are the elite of our armies previously. What I was hoping was that our 2nd army, who do have orders to come over here, would come and help, but there's kind of like phases in battles where other armies outside the battle will gradually make their moves, and that other army basically will not be arriving to this battle before this one is over. That means our men are going to be gradually surrounded and pounded there by the enemy and pushed off the field, so we lose that battle, although I'm pretty sure we killed like half of the enemy army in the process of losing, probably lost half of our own as well. It does lead though to another battle, as then our other army does its next movement phase, comes in and joins the fight, but it's only fighting the smaller of the two Song armies. So this little engagement isn't so bad at all. The enemy are now just as weak and tired as our men probably are, and we have just about a numerical advantage. We're definitely lacking when it comes to cav, which would be handy because the enemy have tons of repeating crossbows who we could do with mowing down. However, our infantry do win the battle in the end, as we see there. So I think overall, while both sides got kind of mauled in that engagement, our first fight with the Song hasn't been so bad. The enemy definitely lost at least half of their stuff. And there, a little bit late, is the declaration of war from the Song. So yes, they declared war on us right then while our armies were in contact. So that's why the fighting just suddenly broke out. I noticed that the Song city nearby is now only defended by one unit since they've sent everything up here. So I'm going to ignore the Song military units there and just rush south with everything I have to go after the settlement. The enemy might chase me, however I'm going to try this as a distraction. We can recruit civilians basically. You can drive the civilians with whipping guys to go stand in front of your army to act as meat shields. You can only do this against the Chinese because we hate them so much. So basically, we're going to throw a load of units out there that will just distract the enemy. They'll get stuck fighting them, and then that should buy us some time to get out of the area and perhaps steal their nearby settlement. Thought I'd also show you now what's going on across the rest of the map. Genghis and all of the other armies are gradually gathering at Taiyuan, but not much happening right now at Taiyuan. At Yan'an, which is another settlement just to the west of that, I've got some men setting up to attack, but because there are lots of defenders, they're not really going to be able to do anything, and that's just going to be a standoff. The trash stacks that I had attacking the western end of the Shisha's territory are now going after random settlements that belong to these guys who control the Silk Road. They have settlements all over the place, so just going to take them out for no reason. And on the same topic, we're almost there. We're almost to our objective settlement to control the Silk Road. We have until turn 50-something to do it, so we're probably going to arrive on time. Whether we can actually take the settlement on time will be another question, of course, because it is heavily defended right now. Here's my trash going after one of those random settlements. We just captured it and destroyed it. And here is my attempt to steal that Song city. Didn't go very well, because it looks like they've just recruited a full stack. Since recruitment's instant, they can just spring up an army inside as I arrive, so this cheeky move isn't quite so good. That means my men are just going to get shot by the towers trying to get in, and that's just not going to work. So the plan's over. My men will still be around here and we will be able to loot their farms. That's something, but going for the city is probably not going to happen. What I'm going to do then is try and just bypass it to the west, but in such a way that we destroy as many enemy farms as possible. Also ordering my civilians to charge the Song army, which really isn't doing anything right now, just to keep them pinned down. Over at Taiyuan, the Jin have recruited quite a lot of stuff and brought more units in from the west, and there's actually a big army here now. I'm going to attack even before we're fully gathered, because we can use that same exploit that the enemy used on me. The men inside the city won't fight, so we can actually overwhelm the guys standing outside if we attack early. However, we did get hit by the random freeze glitch again. Nothing happened for 1.5 minutes, and I thought the game was finally over, but then things did spring back to life, and we got to see the last moments of the fights, which were presumably actually happening. Over near the Song city, the enemy had come out and actually intercepted me walking around destroying their farms, and we did lose a fair number of men. We also successfully lost a number of civilians. Looks like the enemy were happy to slaughter their own people, even though we didn't even have any of our own units there. They just killed them for fun. And at Taiyuan, there appears to have been a giant and epic battle that we didn't see. Enemy bodies are all over the place, and I think the exploit worked. I think we destroyed the army outside the city. The guys inside just sat there. And while our own forces also got beaten up a bit, reinforcements are very much on the way. Our men heading west towards the Silk Road finally meet some resistance. Just one unit, not going to be too hard for our horse archers to deal with a bunch of halberdiers, I don't think. Skipping now to the movements for the next turn. There we are gathering up at Taiyuan. Once we have some more stacks there, we'll start doing some actual fighting. The civilians are still getting killed, distracting the Song over near Kaifeng. And our first units are now arriving at the target area far to the west. There's this small settlement here with no walls, so we quickly take that on technicality, and there on the left is the place we're actually going for. It's got a stack inside and it's got walls, etc, so we need to prepare for the attack. And that's why taking this little place off to the east is handy, because we can use it as a base essentially for this distant attack. Here's an offer from one of my allies. I'm showing this because it's the sort of offer I get quite a lot, and I have actually accepted quite a few. I've rented out many of my settlements to other factions by saying I'll give you a settlement, but in exchange you have to give me regular payment. So that helps me deal with the authority cap. Here, I'm going back to war with the Shisha because my mystery vassal, who I don't even know, is at war with them. So I thought, fine, I'll go and join him. So we are at war with the Shisha, but no intention to focus on that whatsoever. There's me occupying that settlement, so we can sit here and regain our stamina before we go on to make the attack on the city. We've got a few turns to waste, so we can do this. And actually, the place we just took does have the buildings for making catapults, and that's going to be quite handy, of course, for going up against a city. I'm starting to surround Taiwan with all of these armies and get ready to attack there, but we're not actually going to go on to look at that, because instead, I spent a lot of time playing around in the diplomacy menu. And check this one out. I was talking to the Song and I was able to get them interested in being my vassal if I gave them Kaifeng and a random base on the west side of the Shisha and a load of money and stuff. And actually they accept the deal, and that's a pretty big deal. So now the Song are on our side. That's going to make the south side of the map much safer for us. Had to give up Kaifeng, but I won't need it if we're not fighting the Song, so that's fine. This is pretty good, especially in terms of lore, because I'm pretty sure Genghis fails to defeat the Song in real life. The Song are the southern half of China, so now we've got them coming up to attack the north on our behalf. The Jin are in big trouble with this new arrangement we've made. The other thing to consider is that we've got quite a lot of vassals now, and we're probably getting to the point when we're going to complete the game. And here I checked out the score, and we are actually very nearly there. You have to control 2/3 of the world's population, or the game world's population, to officially win, and we are pretty close. My diplomatic success with the Song made me think maybe we can go talk to the Shisha as well and see if they want peace. They do want peace. They don't want to be my vassal, but we can start negotiating again and try and find something they'll accept. And here we've got a pretty hefty deal where I have to give them tons of money, pretty much all my money, and I have to give them a settlement, but in exchange, they do agree to be my vassal as well. So this has been a very successful turn. We've suddenly taken massive amounts of control over the south side of the map. The Shisha and the Song Chinese factions are now on our side, so it's just the Jin to worry about. There are now allied places all over the shop, and our general movement across the southern half of the map will be much more open since we have so many allied places that won't stop us and will allow us to regenerate stamina by waiting around in their territory. All good stuff. I now have no money and I'm losing money, so we're going to have to deal with that, but it's a small price to pay. We'll just downsize some random units here and there to sort all that out. And here's what that does to the score. We're now extremely close to winning the campaign. All we need to do is destroy a few more heavily populated cities or something, and that'll probably tick us over the edge. So in the next part of this series we'll go after that Silk Road place and try to sort all that out, and then go through the grind trying to break open some more Jin walls and see if we can kill just enough people to make Genghis Khan the best Khan of all Khans of all time.